Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Gates channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit like for more daily drama updates and spoilers. Your support truly means a lot and helps our channel grow every day. Now let's jump straight into today's exciting update. Before the skies over Fairmont Crest unleash unimaginable chaos, the coming week on Beyond the Gates promises a storm of secrets, betrayals, shocking reunions, and life-changing choices that will leave every family forever changed. What begins as an elegant fundraiser attended by some of the most powerful names in town slowly transforms into a desperate fight for survival when nature strikes without mercy. Long-buried emotions rise to the surface, dangerous criminals reveal their true identities, broken relationships are tested under impossible circumstances, and unlikely heroes emerge from the shadows. As fear spreads through every hallway of the prestigious club, hearts will race not only because of the deadly tornado outside, but because of the emotional storms brewing inside every character. By the time the dust finally settles, nothing and no one will ever be quite the same again. The first major shock arrives with a mystery that has been haunting viewers for weeks. At long last, the identity of the terrifying impaler is finally exposed, and the revelation is far more personal than anyone could have imagined. The mysterious criminal turns out to be none other than Heather Armstrong, Joey Armstrong's long-lost sister, making her highly anticipated debut on Beyond the Gates. For Joey, the discovery is almost impossible to process because he has spent years believing Heather had built a completely different life for herself, far removed from the dangerous world he inhabits. Instead, the truth crashes into him like lightning, revealing that the sister he thought had become an ordinary realtor may actually be walking an even darker path than he ever did. Their reunion is not filled with warmth or celebration, but with uncertainty, suspicion, and the realization that blood ties can become the most dangerous alliances of all. Heather's arrival also carries extra excitement for longtime soap fans because she is portrayed by Ashley Jones, an actress many viewers instantly recognize. Fans may remember her unforgettable role as Bridget Forrester on The Bold and the Beautiful, where showrunner Michelle Valjean previously worked with her. Others may recognize Ashley from acclaimed series like True Blood or For All Mankind, making her entrance into Beyond the Gates feel like a major television event. But beyond the excitement surrounding the actress herself lies a character wrapped in mystery. Heather steps into the story carrying unanswered questions, hidden motives, and a darkness that threatens to reshape Joey's entire criminal empire. Her presence immediately signals that the balance of power in town is about to shift in ways nobody expected. The groundwork for this explosive revelation has been quietly building for weeks. Joey previously opened up to Vanessa McBride about the sister he had not seen in years, allowing viewers a rare glimpse into his personal life beneath his hardened criminal exterior. Vanessa, determined to help, began searching for Heather, believing she was doing something kind. Instead, Joey reacted with unmistakable anger, demanding that she stop looking immediately. His fierce response suggested there were painful memories and dangerous secrets connected to Heather that he desperately wanted buried forever. At the time, Vanessa could not fully understand why Joey seemed almost terrified of finding his own sister, but everything suddenly makes sense once Heather's true identity is exposed. The tension reached its peak when the mysterious impaler interrupted Joey's meeting with Randy Parker. Although the audience could not yet see the stranger's face, Joey immediately recognized exactly who had walked into the room. That single moment spoke volumes without revealing a single expression. His stunned reaction hinted that this mystery was never simply about a dangerous rival. It was about family. Now, with Heather finally stepping into the light, viewers will discover whether Joey's greatest weakness has always been the sister he believed he had lost forever. Even more frightening is the possibility that Heather has evolved into someone far more ruthless than Joey himself, forcing him to confront a threat that shares both his bloodline and his criminal instincts. that possibility also completely changes Joey's plans regarding the mysterious red market ring operator. He had originally vowed to send a harsh warning to anyone daring to invade his territory, making it clear there was room for only one criminal kingpin. But if the operator is truly Heather, everything becomes far more complicated. Family loyalty clashes violently with ambition, forcing Joey into an impossible position where every decision carries devastating consequences. Perhaps he chooses to spare her because she is his sister, or perhaps he still delivers the same ultimatum, only to discover that Heather has absolutely no intention of backing down. If she ignores his warnings and continues expanding her own operation, the siblings could find themselves on opposite sides of a brutal criminal war, proving that shared blood offers no protection when power is on the line. As those dangerous family secrets unfold, another emotionally charged story begins to take shape around Leslie Thomas. Determined as ever, Leslie sets her sights on earning an invitation to Martin Richardson's prestigious fundraiser. Monday finds her completely focused on gaining access to the exclusive event, while Tuesday sees her boldly crashing Mona's gathering as part of what appears to be a carefully calculated scheme. Leslie has never been known for subtlety, and her relentless determination once again places her directly in the center of controversy. By Wednesday, she assures Ted Richardson that she intends to behave herself at the fundraiser, even as she continues irritating Joey by repeatedly calling him her partner. Almost everyone expects Leslie to create another embarrassing spectacle, especially her own daughter, Eva Thomas Richardson, who arrives alongside Isaiah Gannon carrying understandable anxiety that her mother could once again humiliate her in front of everyone. Yet fate has an extraordinary way of changing people when disaster strikes. What begins as an elegant evening filled with powerful guests, polished speeches, and glamorous celebrations suddenly descends into unimaginable chaos as a violent tornado tears through Fairmont Crest. The storm plunges the building into darkness, shattering windows, collapsing structures, and trapping terrified guests beneath heavy debris. Panic spreads instantly as screams echo through the ruined club and survivors struggle to find one another in the blackout. In those horrifying moments, reputations no longer matter, social status disappears, only courage matters. And remarkably, Leslie may become the very last person anyone expected to rise to the occasion. Instead of causing problems, Leslie could become one of the evening's greatest heroes. She may throw herself into the rescue effort without hesitation, risking her own safety to pull trapped victims from the rubble or help injured guests reach safety. If she manages to rescue one of the Duprees or save multiple lives during the catastrophe, it would completely redefine how others see her. Years of mistakes and damaged relationships cannot disappear overnight, but genuine acts of bravery have the power to soften even the hardest hearts. Ava, who has spent so much time worrying about her mother's embarrassing behavior, might suddenly witness a completely different side of Leslie, a woman capable of incredible courage when it matters most. Sometimes redemption arrives not through words or promises, but through impossible choices made in moments of unimaginable danger. While survivors battle the devastation outside, another emotional storm unfolds inside a stalled elevator, where two former lovers find themselves trapped together. Bill Hamilton and Dani Dupree are suddenly forced into close quarters as the tornado knocks out power throughout the building. The elevator grinds to a frightening halt, leaving them isolated from everyone else with no choice but to depend entirely on each other. Bill calmly explains that the electricity is gone and there is nothing they can do except wait for rescue. Dani, however, refuses to accept such helplessness, her anxiety growing stronger with every passing minute as the confined space amplifies every painful memory between them. With nowhere to run and no distractions left, both are forced to confront emotions they have spent years trying to bury. Those emotions have been building long before disaster ever struck. Dani recently opened her heart to Andre Richardson, finally speaking honestly about the devastating betrayal she experienced when Bill chose Haley Lawson over her. The wounds remain painfully fresh despite the passage of time, and the heartbreak still lingers beneath every interaction they share. Bill, meanwhile, has also been haunted by memories of the marriage they destroyed together. Regret weighs heavily on him, while his relationship with Haley appears increasingly strained, leaving him questioning whether the life he chose was truly the one he wanted. In the suffocating silence of the dark elevator, surrounded by fear and uncertainty, those unresolved feelings may finally become impossible to resist. As the minutes stretch endlessly and rescue seems painfully far away, old passions threaten to overpower reason. One comforting embrace could quickly become something much more intimate as Bill instinctively pulls Dani close in an effort to calm her fears. Years of love, heartbreak, resentment, and lingering affection collide in a single emotional moment that neither of them expected. The possibility of a kiss suddenly feels dangerously real, not because either of them planned it, but because extreme circumstances have stripped away every emotional defense they once relied upon. Yet, if the elevator doors finally open at precisely the wrong moment, and Andre witnesses Bill holding Dani in his arms, the consequences could be explosive. Even if Bill insists it meant nothing, appearances rarely tell forgiving stories, and what begins as comfort could easily be viewed as a painful act of betrayal. Elsewhere amid the destruction, another heartbreaking crisis begins unfolding, as Tomas may become one of the tornado's most seriously injured victims. The disaster forces Ava and Kat into an unexpected partnership as they work together during the desperate rescue efforts. For two sisters whose relationship has only recently begun showing fragile signs of healing, the emergency becomes an extraordinary opportunity to build genuine trust. Friday's spoilers reveal Ted Richardson frantically moving from one crisis to another, desperately trying to protect the people he loves. Then comes a horrifying moment when he discovers Kat covered in blood. Panic immediately overwhelms him, but Kat tearfully insists the blood does not belong to her. As Isaiah Gannon stands nearby, Ted asks the terrifying question everyone fears hearing: whose blood is it? The answer may point directly toward Thomas. Promotional footage from the tornado aftermath shows Isaiah standing alongside Kat and Ted, yet Thomas and Eva are noticeably absent from those scenes. That absence raises frightening questions about who remains trapped, who has been injured, and who is still fighting for survival beneath the wreckage. If Tomas is indeed the one bleeding, Kat and Eva may become the very people responsible for saving his life. Working side by side under such impossible circumstances could erase years of distance between the sisters, replacing suspicion with trust forged through shared courage. Sometimes the strongest family bonds are not created during peaceful moments, but during terrifying nights when survival depends on standing together. Finally, the week closes with growing fears surrounding Martin Richardson himself. All signs suggest that Martin may be trapped somewhere inside the devastated club after the tornado leaves destruction in its wake. The emotional weight becomes almost unbearable as Smitty desperately calls out into the darkness, repeatedly asking whether Martin can hear him. His voice is filled with unmistakable panic, capturing the raw terror of someone who fears the worst but refuses to stop searching. Every unanswered call deepens the suspense, leaving loved ones terrified that Martin may be buried beneath the collapsing rubble. Nicole, visibly shaken by everything unfolding around her, can only watch helplessly as hope and fear battle inside her heart. Even with so much danger surrounding Fairmont Crest, there remains one comforting ray of hope shining through the darkness. Actress Daphne Duplay, who portrays Nicole, recently appeared in an interview alongside Eric Braeden, beloved by soap fans as Victor Newman from The Young and the Restless, where they suggested that everyone ultimately survives this devastating catastrophe. That reassurance offers viewers hope, but it does little to lessen the emotional intensity of the journey. Survival does not erase trauma, heal broken relationships, or undo the emotional scars left behind by such a terrifying experience. By the end of this unforgettable week, secrets will have been exposed, unexpected heroes will have emerged, Old lovers may have crossed dangerous lines, families will have fought desperately to save one another, and every survivor will carry the memories of the storm that changed their lives forever. The tornado may eventually pass, but the emotional aftershocks it leaves behind will continue to reshape Beyond the Gates long after the skies finally grow quiet. Even after the violent winds begin to lose their strength, the true battle is only beginning. The terrifying roar of the tornado gradually fades into an eerie silence, but that silence is quickly broken by the sounds of frightened voices calling for loved ones, pieces of concrete shifting under desperate hands, and emergency crews racing toward Fairmont Crest. The once elegant venue has been transformed into a maze of shattered glass, twisted steel, and fallen walls, where every corner hides another heartbreaking surprise. Dust hangs thick in the air, making it difficult to see who is safe and who still needs rescuing, while the survivors struggle to gather their bearings after enduring one of the most traumatic nights of their lives. In moments like these, the differences that once divided friends, rivals, and family members suddenly seem insignificant compared to the overwhelming desire to make sure everyone is still alive. For Joey Armstrong, however, survival is only one piece of a much larger nightmare. Heather's shocking return has reopened wounds he believed had been buried years ago, forcing him to confront a family history filled with dangerous choices and painful separation. The realization that his own sister may now be operating as the feared impaler leaves him caught between loyalty and self-preservation. Every instinct tells him that Heather cannot simply be controlled or persuaded to walk away, especially if she has already built a criminal empire of her own. At the same time, he knows better than anyone how relentless someone with Armstrong blood can be once they have set their sights on power. That uneasy understanding casts a dark shadow over everything Joey does next, because if Heather refuses to respect his territory, their inevitable confrontation may become far more personal than either of them is prepared to face. Vanessa McBride may also find herself standing in the middle of a conflict she never intended to create. Her decision to search for Heather originally came from genuine concern, believing she was helping Joey reconnect with someone he had lost. Instead, she may soon discover that her search has unintentionally awakened a threat capable of destroying everything Joey has spent years building. Looking back, Joey's anger suddenly makes perfect sense, but that realization arrives far too late to undo what has already been set in motion. Now Vanessa may have to decide whether to continue searching for answers or distance herself before the Armstrong family war pulls her into its dangerous orbit. Either choice carries enormous consequences, because once Heather has stepped back into Joey's life, there is simply no returning to the way things were before. Elsewhere, Leslie Thomas could wake up after the disaster to find that one courageous decision has changed the way an entire community sees her. For so long, people have expected disappointment whenever Leslie walked into a room, assuming her next appearance would bring another argument, another scheme, or another embarrassing mistake. But extraordinary circumstances have a way of revealing extraordinary character, and risking her own safety to protect others could become the defining moment of her life. The people who once questioned her motives may now struggle to reconcile the woman they thought they knew with the one who emerged during the tornado. Even Eva, who has carried years of complicated emotions toward her mother, may find herself looking at Leslie through completely different eyes. Redemption is rarely earned in a single moment, but sometimes one act of genuine courage is enough to begin healing wounds that once seemed impossible to repair. The emotional impact may be felt most deeply within the Richardson family. Ted's desperate panic after seeing blood covering Kat's hands perfectly captures every parent's greatest fear. In those agonizing seconds before learning whose blood it actually is, countless terrifying possibilities race through his mind, leaving him emotionally shattered before he even hears the answer. Kat herself appears overwhelmed by the trauma surrounding her, unable to hide the tears or the fear written across her face as she insists the blood belongs to someone else. Isaiah remains close by, offering whatever support he can, but even his presence cannot erase the uncertainty hanging over the entire family. Until everyone has been accounted for, every unanswered question feels heavier than the last. If Thomas is indeed the injured victim everyone fears, then Kat and Eva's efforts to save him may become the turning point in their relationship as sisters. Their bond has only recently begun to strengthen after years of emotional distance, cautious conversations, and fragile attempts at trust. Facing a life or death emergency together forces them to stop focusing on past misunderstandings and instead work toward a single purpose, saving someone they both care about. In the middle of unimaginable tragedy, they may discover that family is strongest when united rather than divided. Shared fear, shared determination, and shared hope often build stronger connections than years of peaceful coexistence ever could. By the time the rescue is over, the sisters may emerge with a relationship that has finally found the solid foundation both have long desired. Meanwhile, the emotional tension surrounding Bill Hamilton and Dani Dupree refuses to disappear simply because they have escaped the stalled elevator. If they truly allow themselves to share a kiss while trapped inside, the consequences will extend far beyond a single emotional moment born from fear. Bill has already been wrestling with deep regret over the collapse of his marriage, while Dani has been trying to rebuild herself after the betrayal that shattered her trust. Those unresolved emotions do not simply vanish once the elevator doors finally open. Instead, they become even more complicated, especially if someone like Andre Richardson witnesses an intimate moment that neither Bill nor Dani can easily explain away. What happened in the darkness may continue haunting them long after the power returns, forcing both of them to confront difficult questions about where their hearts truly belong. At the same time, Haley Lawson may have no idea that everything around her is beginning to shift. While she spends part of the fundraiser flirting with crossover guest Kyle Abbott, Bill could be experiencing an emotional awakening only a few floors away. The contrast between those two situations creates a powerful emotional divide. Haley appears focused on charm and distraction, unaware that the man she fought so hard to build a future with may be questioning every decision that brought them together. If Bill's feelings for Dani have truly resurfaced, the future of his marriage could suddenly become far less certain than anyone imagined. What began as a natural disaster may ultimately trigger an emotional disaster capable of changing multiple relationships at once. The suspense surrounding Martin Richardson may ultimately become the emotional centerpiece of the week's aftermath. Every frantic call from Smitty carries the fear that precious seconds are slipping away while Martin remains trapped beneath debris. Nicole's terrified expression reflects the silent horror experienced by every loved one waiting for news they cannot control. Rescue workers continue searching through the unstable wreckage, knowing that every careful movement could mean the difference between life and death. Hope refuses to disappear, but neither does fear, creating an emotional tug-of-war that keeps everyone holding their breath. Even with reassurances that everyone survives, the path to that outcome promises to be filled with unforgettable moments of suspense, heartbreak, and overwhelming relief. As the week finally draws to a close, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The tornado was never just another disaster storyline. It becomes the catalyst that exposes hidden identities, reignites forgotten love, strengthens fractured families, challenges lifelong enemies, and gives unlikely heroes the opportunity to redefine themselves forever. Every character walks away carrying emotional scars that cannot simply be erased once the rubble is cleared away. Some relationships will emerge stronger than ever, while others may begin quietly falling apart under the weight of painful truths that can no longer be ignored. Fairmont Crest may eventually be rebuilt, but the people who survived its darkest day will never again be the same. And as the dust finally settles over beyond the gates, viewers are left with the unmistakable feeling that this storm has only marked the beginning of even greater drama waiting just beyond the horizon.